So if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you already know this. In fact, you already know this just from the title. I'll explain the title in a minute too. But yes, it's true. I quit my job in information security, which is kind of funny since one of the last videos I put on this channel was about passing Security Plus, getting the threat hunter position, being very excited, and now I'm at a very different place. A lot has changed in this video. I'm just going to put it all out there so that we can move on from it. So if it looks a bit different in here, that's because it is different, and I'll talk about that in a bit in this video. Just explain what happened and why everything looks different. Some things new, some things old, and a lot of change. And there's so much to discuss in this video, I don't even know where to begin, honestly. It's just one of those videos that I just want to put out there and get it out of the way, and so hopefully this will answer some questions. I've already gotten some questions to ask if I'm going to go into more detail as to why I left my position and why I've kind of made some drastic changes this year, and so hopefully this video will answer all these and I can just reference it to it in the future. So before I begin, a few disclaimers. One, the title is not clickbait. I know it kind of sounds like clickbait, but I really wanted to grab attention because, which I know it sounds like clickbait. I guess that's kind of the definition of clickbait. However, it's not bait. Like, this is legit. I had a 6-figure position and I quit my job. I mean, it doesn't get any more honest than that. But what I wanted to do with the title is a few things. One, I see this all the time, and it kind of breaks my heart, but information security positions listed for ridiculously low salaries. And it just, like I said, it honestly just breaks my heart, because anyone in information security can tell you that it's one of the most stressful positions, maybe in IT. I don't want to say the most, obviously, but it is definitely up there in stress. And so I think you should be rewarded with compensation, and if you are not, you are in information security and you have a few years of experience in IT, you maybe have some certifications under your belt, maybe you've even been in security for a little bit, or even if you're in IT, you should be making over 6 figures. And if nobody else is telling you that, let me be the one to tell you that, because there are employers out there that will pay for you, I promise you. Okay, maybe not in the middle of the United States where you have your small towns and maybe you have a small company. Okay, maybe they're not gonna pay you, but hopefully that means your stress is a little bit lower, and so that kind of balances out that way. But if you are in a major US city and you have check boxes next to those things I just listed, and you are not making 6 figures, boy or girl, better get out there and make some changes, I'm telling you. Okay, enough of that rant. So this is actually edit number 2 for this video from the future, but for you it's going to look like number 1, but you'll see another one coming up very soon. What I wanted to pop in here and say real quick, just to be a little bit more definitive, and the reason why I wanted to specify how much I was getting paid is because when I came into IT over 6 years ago, I didn't know what to ask for, and I've later been told that I came in vastly underpaid, and it took me a really long time to get to where I ended up. And this is me just telling you to know your worth, ask around, research, do all the things I didn't do so that this doesn't happen to you. And yeah, so if nobody's telling you, let me be the one. I just feel like it's one of those things that's not told very often, and you are worth it. Trust me, you are worth it. The second part of the title that I wanted to kind of put out there, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't done this in a while. I'm really out of practice. Not that I was good before, but I'm just like extra out of practice. The second thing I wanted to do with the title was to show you that this was not a light decision. I thought about this decision for a very, very, very long time, and I planned it out, and I, you know, crossed my T's and dotted my I's and made sure that I could do it, and that everything kind of lined up, and that this was the right decision for me. One of the things I wanted to get across with the title of the video, and part of the things with this video itself, is that money is not everything. If you are getting paid really well, but you are miserable and you hate your day-to-day, you don't want to go to work, that money is not worth it. And I will be the first to tell you, I was doing very well, but I was miserable. I was lonely, I was isolated, I was sad, and I did not want to wake up and go to work. I didn't want to wake up every day. So the money, it just wasn't worth it. Why live a life that you're so unhappy at just for a paycheck? It doesn't make any sense to me. Hello there from the future, or from the past for you, but I am sitting here editing this video and it occurred to me that I'm saying two kind of different things in this video, and I just wanted to clear that up. I'm saying both you can get paid for your position in IT, and that was a separate thing from money isn't everything, and that's just because they are two very different problems that I see. There are a lot of people out there that are unhappy with what they're doing and justify it with the paycheck that they're getting, and then there are other people that are underpaid and should be getting paid more. So they're separate topics, but in this video and in this context they almost sound like they're contradictions. However, obviously that was not my intentions, but I just wanted to clear that up, and hopefully that makes a bit more sense. They could have been two separate videos, honestly, but here we are. It took me a little bit to realize that. It took me getting to this point to realize it, but I have fully accepted my decision. And it, you know, I may regret it in a couple months. It may be a wrong decision. I might be making a video in 6 months saying like, what did I do? I'm going back into IT. And I don't want to say also that I'm never going back into IT or information security. That's definitely not the case. I just needed to leave my current position, if that makes sense. And I've been with my company for 6 years, so I think it was kind of time too to just kind of move on, see a different environment, meet new people, learn new things. I think that's really vital for a career. I don't think seeing only one environment, and this is the only corporate IT environment that I've ever worked in, I don't think that is necessarily healthy for a career. There are plenty that have done it, but that's not what I wanted to do. So this brings me to my second disclaimer. My first disclaimer was the title, in that this is nothing against my former employer. I owe my former employer so much. They gave me so many opportunities. They really just supported me in so many things. They supported my move out to Los Angeles when they definitely didn't have to, and I'm eternally grateful for all of that. I had excellent managers, no complaints at all, wonderful coworkers, once again no complaints. Everyone across the board was amazing. It was really hard to leave that firm, honestly, so hard. And in fact, if I moved back to Atlanta, then they would be the first place I would look for open positions. But it was time for me to leave this position in the Los Angeles office, and I'll get into a bit as to why. Okay, so now that I got all that out of the way, you're probably asking, well, why did you quit? And aside from the things I've already mentioned, it's also been an extremely difficult year for me. A lot of you already know some of my trials and tribulations from Instagram, which I'm very open on. And I haven't really said anything on here yet. You guys know about my eye surgery. If you've watched that video about my eye surgery, or even followed me for the past few years, I've talked about it before. And so that was, I guess, the tip of the iceberg? Is that what they say? I don't even know. And it was, I don't want to say downhill from there, but it's been a struggle ever since. So my surgery for glaucoma was in end of February. I did lose 95%, I would say, of my eyesight in my right eye, even though I had the surgery to have a tube shunt inserted to relieve the pressure. I went in a whole video about this, so I'm not going to discuss it here. So that's that. And that's been a transition period of getting used to only having one eye. Your brain has to learn to process only having one input source. Good way to put it. And so there's like a period of time where your brain is getting used to it. And right now I'm still in that transition period. I don't know how long it's going to last, but honestly, I just see it's it's just like gray cloud on my right side, which is really kind of disorienting a lot of the time and very frustrating. But the other issue with my eyes is that I have a really high prescription. So not only did I have glaucoma in my right eye, but I just have had a high prescription for a really long time. So I have negative 11.25 in my eyes. That is my glasses prescription. In fact, I get my contacts for free because they're considered medically necessary. And so that always is in the back of my mind, that I have a high prescription, that this can lead to things like a retina detachment. I'm at a higher risk for that, among many other things. So there's always this like possibility in the back of my head, like I'm down one eye, the risk for losing my other eye, you know, it's there. And so the thought of going completely blind, you know, is not far away from my thoughts. And that kind of makes you think about your choices in life and what you're doing, and you know, kind of reevaluate your happiness. So that was at the end of February. March and April were mostly healing. And then sometime in April, I started to feel like I was losing my mind. I couldn't sleep at night. I don't know what it was. There was like something nagging at me. I don't know, the universe or just my brain or this concept of going blind. I don't know what it was. But I knew that things in my life had to change. And the biggest thing was that I was in a relationship that probably wasn't the healthiest. Like, we loved each other, there was never any doubt of that, but we were not a good fit. He was not into tech or computers or anything nerdy at all, so I always kind of felt embarrassed about my YouTube channel and just not supported, and that's not a way you want to feel in a relationship. I never really talked about him, and I never really talked to him about my YouTube. He knew about it, but he didn't really care. So it was just kind of, that relationship needed to end. And we were together for 3 years and lived together for 3 years in that house that you remember in the last video. So after breaking up with him, I then had to move out and find a new place, which in LA, let me tell you something about renting in LA. It is not fun. You are going to pay a lot. It's expensive. I no longer have a yard for Sassy, so that's been really difficult and really sad, watching a dog who used to have a yard no longer have a yard. But it's like, that's something you can't find in my area. They just don't have houses with yards unless you want to pay like 10 grand a month. And that's not gonna happen. And then I was living on my own. Well, I'm still living on my own, and Sassy and Ducky are with me. But there's something really depressing about seeing a dog in an apartment day after day, especially when you wake up at 4:30 in the morning to drive downtown an hour to get to the office by like 6:30, and you're there till 3 or 4, and you come home after another hour of traffic, and then you have to, you know, entertain your poor dog that's been in an apartment by herself for 9 hours. You have to go for a walk, and then by the time you walk, have dinner, you know, kind of relax for like an hour, you're in bed and you have to repeat and do it all over again. So it was not that, I would say that was kind of like the start of me realizing that things were not going well. Unfortunately, it took me a few months to kind of do anything about it, because I thought that I could force myself to make it work by being, you know, creative on the weekends and starting a book Instagram account and kind of focusing on reading and just doing what I could. But I think it just all started to wear me down more and more. And the fact that I was so isolated here and isolated at work, where all my coworkers were located in Atlanta. Even though I worked in our LA office, my team was all in Atlanta, so I would not talk to them for days except for maybe my immediate manager, and so it was really lonely. And dealing with all the crap of the surgery and the breakup and the move, and not really having anyone to see or talk to or distract you, man, it's rough. There's a reason why we are social creatures, and it's because we need people, and I didn't have that. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I realized I also needed to leave that, because there's only so long you can stay in a position like that. That wasn't going to change. It's not like I was going to suddenly have coworkers out in my LA office. That was never going to happen. So it was up to me to make that change. And then to briefly touch on the position. So if you guys remember, I did a video on how I became a threat hunter in information security and was super excited. So threat hunting is a blue team position. You're on the defense, and obviously the other side is red team. Red team is more like the hacker side, pen testing, fun stuff. Well, blue team, I don't want to say it's not for everybody, but it's not for me. The thing with blue team, you're always working like alerts and kind of like waiting on things to happen or tracking things or responding, and it's very monotonous until it's not. And what I found is that the relationships that I had with people, like old coworkers across my whole IT group, like, you know, I'm talking like over 100 people who I used to be excited to call and like, you know, help out and work together. It suddenly became more like they didn't want to hear from me, and when I called them, it was always for like a problem or a server that needed something. And so it was almost like, I want to say people resented me, but they just didn't like me as much. And I don't know if that's a blue team thing or just the position that I had, but it wasn't my favorite. And the monotony of it also was not my favorite. It's just day after day doing the same exact thing, and every once in a while having to wake up at 12 in the morning for an alert that came in that was most likely going to be a false positive. The other thing about blue team is that I feel like knowledge is power, right? Like the more you know, the more you can protect your environment, you know, making custom alerts or just knowing what malware is out there, the APTs that are prevalent or, you know, most likely to attack your company or industry, just all these different things, what's going on in the news. And so what you find is that you're constantly adding Twitter accounts to follow and turn on notifications, feeds to add to your, you know, feed account, emails to sign up for, newsletters, websites to check, like podcasts to listen to, YouTube channels, vendors to keep up with. It's so overwhelming. And when you try to keep up with all of it while also like learning a bunch and trying to learn new things, I just said that, it just, I get overwhelming is the perfect way to put it. It just becomes so much noise and so much coming at you. And it's endless too. It's not a job that's like 9 to 5. I mean, somebody could attack your environment at any time. So you always have to be kind of like ready and like reading and keeping up with things. And it's exhausting. It really, really is. And adding that on top of what I was already going through, it just became so overwhelming. And I've talked to a few people, a lot of people, not a lot, but a few people feel this way. This has been kind of like a hard year all around. I don't know if it's just the chaos of the news right now or politics or what's going on around the world. Like it all just seems like chaos, and it's like super draining. And it's almost like you have to tune it all out to stay sane, but then if you tune it all out, then you have no idea what's going on, and it literally changes day by day. So if you're having a hard time this year, I'm with you 100%. You're not alone. Just hang in there, you know, find your happiness and just focus on that, I guess is what I can say, because that's what I'm doing. And that's why we're here. So when I left my position, a lot of people were like, oh, what are you doing next? Where are you working? Who's your new employer? And I'm like, well, I don't really have all that figured out yet, because I want to spend some time doing my own thing. I don't have a position lined up. If I want to go back into IT, which is likely, then I will do that when I'm ready. But right now, I want to explore the things that I never had time for, the things that I felt embarrassed about doing. I don't feel that way anymore. And I don't know if it's just like when you have a hard time, it's almost like you have to find the things that bring you joy. And so you guys know what those are. Motherboards, building computers, and talking about technology and doing weird projects. And so, yeah, that's what I'm here for. And there's going to be more of that. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't want to make any promises, but those are my intentions. I have a very long list of spreadsheet of video ideas that I've been collecting over the past year, and some of them are I think you're really going to enjoy. So those of you who are still with me, in fact, I don't know how, but my subscriber count actually went up while I took a break. And I don't know if I should take that as a sign and y'all are gonna unsubscribe when I post this video, which is probably going to happen. But yeah, thank you for hanging in there with me. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you. You guys can still find me on Twitter, Instagram. Instagram I update like daily. Twitter not so much, but hopefully I'll be here on YouTube more often. I already have a lot of fun stuff to cover and put up on the channel, so stay tuned for that. I don't think I have anything else. And I have a new computer build coming soon, so